I found out yesterday that I have Achilles tendonitis and I'm not able to run anymore for like until I recover fully. Thing is, I had this going for since back in January this year, so it was not something that I wasn't aware of. I just did not know that it's called like that. I did not know it's that deep. I thought that it's just something that will eventually go, if it will pass, if I just keep on doing this. So I kept on doing this. I kept on running. I kept on doing all these things, thinking that eventually I will get past it and I will feel better. My legs will start performing. My body will just, act normal. Will get into its mind straight. I would tell it that, this is not how you're supposed to act. You act like I'm telling you to act. But it seemed that this was not the way, and it's fine with me because there are these moments in our life when we just have to take things as they are, but be careful, pay attention, not take them as they are and just give up. Not take them as they are and think that it's a sign that maybe this is not for you, maybe you should give up, maybe you should just, stop focusing on all these things. Because when you get into that state, when you get into that, in that position, thinking that, this is a ceiling meant for me to stop, this is my limit, that's the very moment you have to push even harder. You have to bounce back 100 times harder to just break through that ceiling, to achieve that breakthrough. And so what I did today was that basically, I had two options. Because check this beautiful lake. Like, I'm so grateful for it. Also this beautiful sky, beautiful blue sky, cannot go wrong with it. You just have to go out. But hear me out, because the theme for this video is talking about how you need to get in your mind to understand your behavioral patterns. And I'm not going to sit now and try to break down all these behavioral patterns that you might have in your brain, because you might have a lot of behavioral patterns, just like I as well have a lot of behavioral patterns, a lot of false beliefs that I still have to overcome. But it's a natural process, and it's called evolution. It's life. It's how it's supposed to be. If you just finish the game from the very first try or from the first few tries, guess what? There is no satisfaction left. There is nothing more for you to just overcome, nothing more for you to battle. What do you do then? You just leave. How are you supposed to live if you don't have anything to live for? So I sit and thought with myself, how am I able to get into my behavioral pattern? Strictly talking about this one, this very false belief I created over the years about how I have to do something in the morning in order for my brain to be wired. And I started by doing gym. First I was going to the gym in the morning. At 5 I would wake up, and at 5:30 I would leave the home, and the gym would open at 6 a.m. But I knew the guys, and they would come to like 5:30, and they would open the gym for other guys at 5:45. So it was perfect for me to just go there at 5:45 a.m. and leave by 7, by 6:30, something like that. By 6:30 or 7 a.m. I was on my way home, and I would be so productive. And as a gym guy, I was not going every single day, like many others would probably do. I don't have anything to just be to say that you should do in a certain way, you should act in a certain way, you should go to the gym with this split 3 days a week or 5 days a week or 7 days a week. But I just found out that the best split for me was to just go and follow this 4-day split. I would go for chest, legs, shoulders, a bit of traps, and the last day was back and biceps. With chest I would also train triceps, so whatever. But I would have these days in between where I would just rest pauses, right? There were breaks. There were days off for your body to recover, for your mind to get in a better state. And in those days, instead of taking advantage of the first few hours of the day that I would have to my benefit to work on those hours even more, my brain would see them as this missing piece, you know. My brain would think that just because I was not going to the gym, that means that obviously my first undeniable proof of the day to signal to my brain that I'm serious about what I want to achieve was not there, was missing. Therefore, my brain was thinking that, well, you know, that means that you have to rest a bit, you know, you have to go a bit easier with it. You don't have to just rush, you don't have to be so productive today, you don't have to just do all these things, you don't have to be so productive, you know, you can rest today. Because tomorrow you'll go to the gym and everything will be fine, you know, everything will be back to normal. But what you have to do in those moments is you have to signal your brain any single day. You have to find certain mechanics that still act as undeniable proof for your brain in order to kick it off, you know, in order to start it, in order to wire it and signal to it that, you know, I'm serious about it. Because our brains, they work in this funny way, and you might look at me right now as this woo guy talking about, oh, our brain needs signals, our brain needs undeniable proofs, all this. But let me talk to you about my personal experience, because I went to gym for 6 years since 2020, and I had a lot of ups and downs with it. Not because I did not plan for them, but that's just how I went with it. Like, for example, in the first 2 years, I would go to the gym constantly. Then I would take a break for 6 months because I started doing DoorDash delivery. And I was 18 at that time, so I wanted to do my first money, you know. So I would take a break from the gym because I thought that, you know, it's not necessarily. So basically my brain in that period would not have to be, you know, so wired. But even though I was a kid, you know, it was not that much of an intense schedule. I was just coming off of my high school. I was finishing my high school, and I finished my high school in that period of time, in that summer. And obviously I was not having any goals in my mind to overcome. My brain was not having anything on its tasks, anything on its task priorities to get done, you know, to get after it. So my brain would not be doing anything crazy, even whether I was going to the gym or not. But I got back in the gym after 3 years, you know, in 2023, and I ripped the whole gym apart. I would go so hard at it because I was the only kid at 19 that would just focus on doing all these crazy records. I was going for 140 kilos squat. I was doing chest press with 44 kilos per dumbbell, like dumbbells on an inclined chest press as a 19-year-old with 44 kilos. And you can go check that out on my IG. I have the very first story on one of my highlights, 42 kilos, not 44. I was not able to film that, but you know, I was able to achieve all these records, and I was not that big of a guy. Like, I was never the big guy in the room. I was just a guy that had conviction, that wanted to get after his goals, and that was willing to put in the work. But not only that, because if you're just putting in the work with a bad mindset, you'll not get that far in life. In any area of life, you won't get that far. But I was crazy enough to think that I can do that, you know, because in the first 2 years, I would be stuck at 26 kilos per dumbbell, and I would think that this is my limit, I cannot do that. And I would chase every single time to go for 12 reps. I'll chase to go for 12 reps, and if I manage to go for 12 reps, then that would mean that I was able to just move on to the next level, to 28 kilos. But what I figured out in the process was that one day I just said to myself, you know what, fuck it, let's just go with 28. So I went with 28, and guess what? I managed to do 9 reps with it. So basically my range, to understand how I was working, I was trying to get in between 8 to 12 reps. Anything that was in that range was good. For me, it was productive. It meant like a certain evolution was happening. So I did 9 reps with that. From there on, this mindset just completely rocked. Imagine that in the span of 1 year, maybe like 14 months, not necessarily just 12 months, but in the span of that year, I was able to break so many limits, so many false beliefs I had in my mind on the physical side of things. Can you imagine what can be achieved in that time on the mental side of things? Because the physical is the lowest hanging fruit. Like, you can just go right now and run 10 kilometers have this 10 kilometers run without any rest pauses that I had yesterday, in fact. And I would break so many false beliefs in my brain that, I need all this preparation, all these trainings. No, you just need to have the conviction. You just need to put in the effort for it to achieve it, and you will get there. Like, can you imagine, guys? 13 days I would run every single morning, and I started in the first week. I would go 5 kilometers one way, 5 kilometers the other way, and it was not even from one go. It would be with many rest pauses in between. Like, for example, I would probably run like 1.5 kilometers, close to 2 kilometers, then I would take a break. I would take at least 2 breaks on each way. So for example, in one full go, I would have about 4 or 5 rest pauses in between, 4 or 5 breaks. So how did I manage to get from there in the first week to the 13th day while following this schedule? Schedule sounds too formal, it sounds too serious, and it wasn't that serious. In my mind it was serious, but it wasn't to that point that I would literally go and write down, on a notebook and be like, okay, here I managed to get these seconds, here I managed to take these less breaks. I would just record everything in my mind, and I would have records of any single performance that I would took every single morning. And how did I manage then to go in the 13th day and do 10 kilometers run without any breaks, without any rest pauses in between? How did I manage that? Well, basically, I was probably crazy enough to think that I was capable of doing that. All my relatives, all my friends were asking me, how much did you run today? How much did you run this morning? And I would tell them, I ran to this park, I ran to this airport, and they would be like, holy crazy, bro, how did you manage to do that? And I said, I just went with it. I just went for it, literally. Because the only barrier that can come across our journey is our mind. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean that you have to believe absurd things right now, that if I want now, for example, I can jump in the middle of the ocean and I'll be able to swim to the land. I'll be able to achieve that. Obviously, these are crazy things, but if you manage to find that sweet spot right where your false belief lies, you will understand how you can overcome that false belief from its core. That's how it's supposed to be. That's how you're supposed to get over it. And so I would achieve all those records in my gym time. Then I would take another 6 to 7 months break until I would get back in the gym in 2024 summer, something like that. But I would be so inconsistent with it. I would go 1 month, then 1 month I would not go, and something like that. But I was still maintaining my physique. Like, I was still looking pretty solid. I was still performing pretty solid. I was not doing any more 42, 44 kilos per dumbbell chest, inclined chest press. But I would go still for 36, 38, which was pretty solid. So, doesn't matter. The thing is, my brain in those days that I would have off of the gym, or that I would even be in the break between gym, like for example, I went 1 month to the gym, and second month I was not going to the gym, and my brain would just see it as, well, now what? You're not doing anything in the morning anymore. You're not triggering me in a certain way anymore. You're not really clocking a signal to me that I have to take you serious, I have to take you seriously. Can you blame the brain? Our brain is made to store informations. Our brain is made to have all these amazing ideas, to create all these pathways for our mind, for our way of thinking. But our brain doesn't know how to act on those things on its own. That's why we need to become better. We need to take accountability of our actions, and we need to look at our brain not like someone that has to work for us, but rather like someone that already does work for us, and we just need to use it properly. It's just like you'd hire someone to take care of your whole business, but you won't even know what they need to take care of in your business. You just hire them and you'll be like, okay, but now take care of, whatever you think is right. That person doesn't know what you need to do, what you needed to do, what you want that person to do in your business. That's the same for your brain. Our brain is so amazing, so powerful, but it does not know how to act on its own. It does not know what you're trying to change, what you're trying to achieve. It might have some records of these things that you want to achieve, but our brain has so many more things in its records that you think that you want to achieve or anything like that, but it doesn't know which one to choose. It doesn't know how to discern. It doesn't know how to decide, how to act on all these choices, on all these things. It's our job to do that. It's our job to just look into our brain, to study it properly, and to understand our core beliefs. I have too much energy, guys. I have too much energy. I have to get up because that's what not running one morning does for me. But I've been in this park for the past 3 hours now. I spend so much time just writing thoughts in this journal that I have. I love this journal. I need to buy another one, and I want to buy the same green one. But let's not drift away from the subject, from the topic itself, right? Because what I was talking about was looking deeper at your false belief, at your core root cause of your problem, of your issues, and to really understand what's going on, what's happening behind all that system. And today, that's what I did. I would wake up in the morning and I would just look at my schedule. I would think in my brain, I would get this signal across my brain, across my mind, and I would tell it that I wanna do these things. I wanna work this much today. But my brain would be like, yes, but you did not run today. You did not go for a run today. So why should I take you seriously now, huh? But the thing is, if you just let your brain guide its actions, its decisions, your actions, you will just find yourself in this position where you will go in so many directions you won't even understand, and then you'll get upset and you'll be like, oh, maybe this is not for me. Why did I even try to do this in the first place? Because you did not control it fully. You did not take accountability. You did not take accountability for your actions, for your decisions. Why? Because you did not understand why your brain was acting in that certain way. So what I did was I tried to understand, why does my brain need every single day, every single morning, a signal? Why does my brain need a certain, undeniable evidence, undeniable proof, this certain evidence that I am serious about my goals? Whether if it's gym, whether if it's taking a run, whether if it's anything on this earth, how can I understand that principle, how my brain works, and how can I leverage that for my future ideas, for my future schedule? Because we gotta adapt in life and in business as well. We gotta adapt. We gotta learn how to become better at it. And right now, since I'm having this issue with my Achilles tendonitis, I barely can walk. But I'm not crying about it. It's something that is fine with me. Like I can take it and I can go with it. But I had two options. I could have stayed in bed and try to negotiate with my brain. Well, yeah, but I am serious about it, even though you don't feel like I'm serious about it. I swear I'm serious about it, and I want to do so many things today. I want to do all these things that I have in my mind. But my brain would then go and try to, convince me the other way around. Tell me that, yes, I know you want to do all these things, but you did not even take the very first step of your routine. How are you going to achieve it? Because you won't be able to get yourself in the right mental state, in the right physical state for your mental to connect, to be wired to it. Okay, how would you achieve that? And then it would be all this negotiation process back and forth. You'll try to convince your brain will try to convince you, but trust me, when you're trying to negotiate with your brain, it doesn't end well. Your brain will eventually convince you of the things that it wants you to believe, because our brain knows exactly the root cause of our problems, the root cause of our false beliefs. It knows where to strike us and what we need to hear in order to convince us for that. But if you go and do the same exact thing that our brain already does, and you look at the core foundation of all these false beliefs that you have in your own life right now, in your whole routine, you'll manage to act just like you'll manage to have access to all this knowledge that your brain also has access to. And you'll understand better exactly where you need to improve yourself. Your brain therefore won't be able to take any advantage onto that, won't be able to leverage that knowledge onto you, because now you know that as well, you're aware of those things, and you won't act all this surprise like, oh yeah, my brain is right, maybe I should just stay in bed today and I should just rest for 2-3 more hours. And eventually after 2-3 months, when I recover, I'll be able to get back on my schedule because I'll be able to start running again. This couldn't be further from the truth, guys. This couldn't be further from the truth, because as I said earlier, our brain will do anything to convince us the other way around. But we don't have to be mad at our brain. We just have to understand why it does that. Why do we have those false beliefs in the first place? How we can conquer them, how we can, fix them. So what I did today was I looked deeper into my false belief with signaling physical effort to my brain that I am serious about it, and I understood that it does not have to be a certain physical effort, a certain any physical aspect to trigger it. It just has to be an action. It just has to be me taking an action toward the direction that I'm willing to go, so that I can tell my brain, I can signal to my brain that, look at this. Watch me how I'm winning. Watch me how I'm working through this. Watch me how even if I'm not able to run, even if I'm not able to just go to the gym, I'm still able to act on my decisions, to act on my goals, to act on my journey. I'm able to do all these things because I'm serious about it. And you do not decide whether I'm serious or not. I'm telling you that I'm serious. I'm showing you that I'm serious. How? By following the goals and the actions that I've planned for myself to go after. That's what you have to do, guys. That's what we all have to do. So let's just stop with this all this way of thinking that sorry, my focus broke for a second. So many stuff happening in this park and I'm overstimulated by it, I swear. But now I'm going home and I'm getting on work, trying to come up with better strategies, with better systems, not just mechanics, but also understanding how to help my clients with this process that I'm going through right now, right this very moment. Because there's a lot of work behind it. You have to know the right questions to ask your brain. You have to know how to break them down even more to other questions to more spot on questions so that you can reveal even more details, even more core false beliefs. Look at these pretty ducks over here. There's one little one here crying. I don't know what's its problem, but whatever. So basically this video is about me coming forward to you guys how you should stop letting your brain decide whether you're serious or not about your goals, and start taking the move, taking the action, and eventually your brain will follow. There's nothing about one single secret formula, like special secret. Oh, count to 3, 1, 2, 3, and when you go to the 3, when you get to the 3, just do that. Certain things can work for an individual, other things might not work for an individual. For me, for example, this 1, 2, 3 example worked some days. Other days, if I was really not in the mood to get up and not in the mood to chase my goals, it wouldn't work. Why? Because your brain will always find ways to take you off the track, because it knows exactly where to strike you at. It knows exactly what your false beliefs are, what your weak points are, and you do not know that. Why? Because you're not aware of it. The only thing that you can do about it is to become aware of it. It's to study it, to study your own behavioral patterns, and to start grasping more on them so that you can understand how to move from there on. Understand that you're trying to play a game which rules you haven't even read. How are you going to play that game? Just by intuition, you're not able to win that game with your brain, because your brain already knows the rules. It's just like trying to go to the casino and win. Your brain owns the house, your brain owns the casino. You just have to work your way around it, and eventually you'll be successful with it. So that being said, make sure you really pay attention to your false beliefs, to your core foundations of behaviors that you're having every single day in every single situation. And this way you'll be able to start leading yourself better. Once you start to lead yourself better, you will manage to lead others as well. Because you already know my belief, you already know my main philosophy, is that all of us are on this earth meant to lead at least one person, and that is ourselves. Our mission here is to learn how to lead ourselves properly. And once we learn how to do that, we can go and use the gift that we have gathered through these experiences to lead others as well. So, just like always, you already know it. You already know my ways of ending these videos, wrapping up these videos. We are all born to lead. Just make sure you take every decision toward that direction without waiting for approval from your brain, from any other external factors. Just go and chase it. Learn how to lead yourself properly, and then you'll know how to lead others as well. Don't forget, nato per guidare.